Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating and honestly super important topic. What if the emotions we just kind of push down and ignore are actually connected to our physical health, specifically when it comes to autoimmune diseases?
It's one of those big questions, right? Why is it that some people can go through all sorts of stress and seem totally fine, while others end up with a chronic illness? We always hear about genetics or diet or exercise, but what if a huge piece of the puzzle has been overlooked?
So here's the big idea we're going to unpack. A growing body of research is pointing to this. Our unexpressed feelings, the anger, the sadness, the fear that we swallow, can actually fan the flames of the chronic inflammation that's at the root of so many autoimmune conditions. So let's break down exactly how that can happen. Okay, so first things first. How can something you feel, something that seems so intangible, create a real, measurable, physical problem inside your body? And this quote, well, it just gets straight to the point. We're not talking about having a bad day here and there. This is about long-term emotional stress, the kind that sticks around. And that stress can trigger actual biochemical changes in your body. Seriously, think of it like a tiny fire that's just constantly smoldering inside you, never really getting put out. That's chronic inflammation. So how does this all work on a scientific level? Because this isn't just some vague wellness theory. There is a whole field of science dedicated to mapping out the communication lines between our brain and our immune system. Okay, get ready for a mouthful of a word: psychoneuroimmunology. It's a long one, but it's basically the study of how your mind, your nervous system, and your immune system are all talking to each other. And what it's found is just incredible. It turns out our immune cells literally have receptors for the chemical messengers from our brain. It's like there's a direct phone line between your feelings and your immune response. And this lays out the chain reaction perfectly. See, it all starts with that suppressed emotion. That feeling you don't deal with, it keeps your body's alarm system, the stress response, switched on all the time. That leads to your body pumping out way too much of the stress hormone cortisol. And when you're constantly flooded with cortisol, your immune system gets all out of whack, which leads directly to, you guessed it, chronic inflammation. Now, this is a really important distinction. Not all stress is bad for you. Short-term stress, like, say, the jitters you get before a big presentation, can actually give your immune system a helpful temporary kick in the pants. But chronic stress, the kind that grinds on you day after day, does the exact opposite. It weakens your immune system while also telling your body to crank out more of these little molecules that create inflammation. It's a total double whammy. Okay, so we've got this low-grade fire of inflammation, but how does that escalate to the point where the body's own defense system gets so confused that it literally starts attacking itself? This is that critical tipping point.
So here's one way it can go down. All that inflammation can damage the lining of your gut, making it more permeable or leaky. This means tiny particles of food and other stuff that should stay inside your digestive system can leak out into your bloodstream. Well, your immune system sees these particles and rightly freaks out, thinking they're foreign invaders. If this happens over and over, your immune system can get overwhelmed and confused, eventually losing its ability to tell the difference between a real invader and your own healthy tissues. And that's when it can start making autoantibodies that attack your own body.
And if you're still not convinced, get this number. In clinical studies, a whopping 60 to 70% of patients with autoimmune diseases reported some kind of major emotional stressor in the 6 to 12 months before their very first symptoms showed up. That's a connection that is just too big to ignore. And this is how you get trapped in that awful loop, that vicious cycle. The emotional stress fuels the physical inflammation. Then the physical symptoms, the pain, the fatigue, cause even more emotional stress. It's a self-feeding cycle that can feel absolutely impossible to escape. But here's the good news. It is not impossible. It is possible to break that cycle and start to regain some control. So let's shift gears from the problem to the solutions, starting with proven therapies that work directly on this mind-body connection. Okay, let's look at a few heavy hitters. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is all about helping you spot and change those automatic stressful thoughts that kick off the whole physical reaction. Then you've got mindfulness, which teaches you to just observe your emotions without judging them, which really helps dial down their intensity. ACT is another great one. It's about accepting the things you can't control and focusing your energy on what you can do to make your life better. And finally, if there's a specific trauma tied to the illness, EMDR is a specialized therapy that can help your brain process those memories so they lose their emotional power. Now, therapy is amazing,
But there are also really powerful, practical things you can start doing in your daily life, like right now, to start managing this connection.
Let's start with journaling. I know, it might sound a little simple, but the science is legit. Studies have shown that just 15 to 20 minutes a day of writing about your feelings can lead to a 10 to 15% drop in key inflammatory markers. Think about that, a measurable physical change just from getting your thoughts out on paper. And we see the same kind of compelling results with mindfulness. An 8-week mindfulness program can lower major inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein by as much as 20%. That's a direct result of learning how to calm your own nervous system. And of course, there's yoga. By combining that mindful movement with deep breathing, it has a similar powerful effect. Practicing just a couple of times a week can lead to a really significant reduction in those same markers. So again, this isn't just about feeling better, it's about tangibly changing your body's chemistry. So let's put it all together in a kind of daily emotional toolkit. Step 1 is just noticing. Acknowledge and put a name to what you're feeling. From there, you can try some moderate exercise, do some deep belly breathing to calm your nervous system, or try tensing and relaxing your muscles one by one. And hey, don't forget about just being creative. Painting, music, dance, they can be incredible ways to let things out. And finally, and this one is so important, never, ever underestimate the power of connection. Having good friends, a supportive family, people you can count on, that's not just a nice to have. The research is clear. Satisfying relationships are directly tied to better immune function and lower inflammation. So really, the big takeaway here is this. We need to look at the whole picture. Managing a chronic illness isn't just about the physical stuff. Because of this deep, proven connection between our minds and our bodies, working with our emotions isn't just an extra. It's a key, absolutely essential part of any real health plan. So I'll just leave you with this question to mull over. The goal isn't to get rid of tough emotions. That's impossible. It's just to let them have a voice. So maybe take a second today and just ask yourself, what emotion is trying to get my attention? And how can I start to listen for my own health's sake?